everyone, it's me Sarah from FanGirl Review, and here I am with my latest review to all of you. Tonight we are going to review a movie that's was released in 2017 called Color Me You. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful and it sounds very hard to pronounce. But this is a good one because I love it, because I love art. Because this one deals with an art prodigy young student who wants to become an artist, but her mother and her grandfather want her to become a lawyer so she can continue carrying on their legacy, or whatever they call it. You know, it's just a crazy plot twist. But as I said before, most of these stories will not always be the same sort of thing over and over, but I like the fact in this one it's a very cheerful story, and I love the fact it's a uplifting tale about a girl's, going through her creative process, and at the same time trying to hide this from her mother and her grandfather as she goes along. So I'll get into it, shall I? Our story begins with a girl named Kat Abernethy, who is attending a party for her mother and father, and this is a party to say, well done, you're going to law school, and stuff like that. And before she goes downstairs, she is covered in paint. Well, not covered in paint, she's got paint on her hands because she previously made a painting of her father's boat. Her dad's a big boat person, and that's where most of her creative influence comes from, because it's the most uplifting moment in her life. But her mother, she just sees it as just finger painting, like she was 6 or 7 and not a really talented young individual. And her grandpa is he's one of those really top lawyers who expects too much from his young granddaughter, and expects her to uphold their traditions and uphold the family name. Sounds like something out of the 1900s when you think about it. Anyway, her mother expects so much from her because when she went to law school, she gave up because she got pregnant. That's right, folks. She went to law school herself, and she got pregnant and she dropped out, and that forced her to start forcing her own little daughter to start thinking of her future as a lawyer. So anyway, they kind of move her into a nice little little flat with another girl who's another lawyer potential student called Sarah. Nice name, considering that I'm also Sarah. And I like this Sarah because she's nice and warm and bubbly, which is one of the things I aspire in young people a lot. So anyway, the girls bond, and of course over gosh knows what, and as they're attending the first class, they don't do well with this teacher. He sounds like he doesn't really like Sarah very much, and he expects more from Kat. Of course, Kat is like, I'm just Abernethy, all that stuff, but he's expecting her to be like her grandfather. Because they keep referring to her as for her grandfather's name, even though she's not has that name, obviously. Anyway, the girls leave the class, and as they're strolling through the school grounds, Kate notices a bunch of kids studying, looking worried and looking serious about what they're studying, and she notices this guy who's just painting, and it's very ordinary painting, and Sarah comments on how that this guy needs seriously help on his painting, and Kate approaches him, and he says he's just doing it for his class exercises and wasn't serious about it. So she heads home, and when her friend goes out to party, Kate stays home and paints, and of course her mother phones seeing how she's going with classes, and what bad timing happens. Her friend comes back from a party totally drunk, and she is trying to remark that her daughter is a great painter and stuff like that. Her mother continues to say this is just a phase and thinks that she should be more focused on being a lawyer than less on painting. Ridiculous. Anyway, so she's disappointed at her daughter, and when she hangs up, she's approached by her father, and her father's saying that he doesn't want a repeat of similar events that happened when she was in law school. And he says, I don't expect to be a grandfather anytime soon, type attitude. As if his granddaughter would ever think about that yet. Anyway, so as they're later on next morning, they go to a coffee shop, and where I should mention, Kate runs into a glass blower artist. I should mention earlier in this movie, she met him at his store, and she broke one of his glass statues accidentally, and now he's kind of looks down on her and sees her as just another clumsy person. Then later on, the girls head to the park for an art festival, where she gets involved in an art competition. And this is where I put my foot down, because in this scene you see these easels and you see a bunch of paper on the easels. I studied art, and when we were studying art, we had a piece of cardboard on the easel, or card, to make sure the paper doesn't blow away. But here the paper is just naturally lying on the easel, like that won't fly off or anything like that. But it's just that's my thoughts, because I studied art and I know exactly how to handle keeping my paper on my easel, and this is weird to me. Anyway, so Kate progresses on her art, and at first she develops a bit of artistic block. Then one of the volunteers tells her, just relax and just let the inspiration come, which it often does. So she starts focusing on a nice moment she had with her father on a boat, and the drawing starts coming onto the paper. Sorry, I should mention, she's drawing, as I said before, she's drawing on using pastels, and it's a little hard because seeing as it's just ordinary paper, and I draw on an easel with paper, and one time I kind of accidentally popped a hole in the paper accidentally, and this is why it's always good to use a board when you're drawing with paper on an easel. Anyway, so she wins the first place, obviously, and the first prize is being part of a special art class with a famous artist, and the first thing that pops into her head is that when she gets home, she sees her mother there, and her mother wants to take her out for lunch, and unfortunately she phoned her or texted her telling her that she's come there to take her to lunch. And of course she notices the certificate that says you just won first place out in an art competition, and her mother tears the certificate into pieces, and she goes on to say, this is not happening. She is such a nasty person, this woman. I don't know how she can put up with that mother of hers. Anyway, Sarah thinks that this is a great opportunity, and then she pastes the certificate back into place and encourages Kate to go and pursue her dreams, to hell to her mother's demands about going to the lawyers' classes every day, because they're not, she's just not taking the big class, obviously. So anyway, later on when they're in class together, she leaves the class in order to go to the art class. Of course, it's ended, and the teacher says there's no point in just you waiting around, just go home and stuff like that. But she says she's most definitely serious about doing this. This is her passion. So he sees that she's has a passionate nature about her, so he decides, okay, come tomorrow to the class, obviously. So she comes, and there they start drawing a bunch of flowers, and of course he could see that her drawing is different from the drawing she did at the art competition. I should mention in the art competition that she actually wrote a fake name on her artwork, obviously, called Amber Bella, I think it was called. And of course he tells her that what in this drawing she's just drawn in class, it shows her fear, showing that and he tells her to come to this special art exhibit that's coming up. So he encourages her to come to see it so she can explore other people's art. So she prepares to get herself organized, and as she's getting her wardrobe in order, her friend Sarah approaches her and asks about how it's going at the art class, and asks about where she's going. And she says, going to an art exhibit, stuff like that. Of course, she wants to go along, but Kate is worried that this will blow her cover. So she says, this is just a boring art exhibit where you expect to talk all art, stuff like that. And so she goes alone, and there she meets the talented glass blower. His name is Eric, and he's rather cute looking, and they talk about each art piece, and she discusses how she's also a talented artist and stuff like that. So they start bonding, and I should mention that the artwork here is just wow. Yeah, I ought to go and check out more art exhibits now that I've finished my latest film project now, because it would be great to actually explore that sort of thing now. Anyway, so she starts attending more and more the art classes, and of course she's missing a lot of her time at the law school, obviously. So anyway, her art starts improving as she goes along. She discusses with her teacher that whether or not this is a career that she should pursue. And he says, that's a good question. He told her, he could tell her that he could hate her work. He could say it's garbage. But he can also tell her that she's special, and this is a line of work that she should go pursue. And I think he deep down knows that she is a very talented individual, and this is probably the path that she should pursue. Anyway, she agrees to this. And as she goes along to more and more of her classes, she continues to have this no contact with her roommate / best friend as she goes along, and she doesn't even talk to her mother very much because she knows what her mother's answer would be when she hears about her daughter attending art classes, and we both know it's going to be a very big lecture. Anyway, her father actually sees one of her artworks up for auction, and he bids like a great deal of money and presents the artwork at home and tells his wife that he was meeting a client, but he was actually an art auction. And he presents the art piece to her, and she says, oh, it's nice, pretty, stuff like that. And she's a little more annoyed that her daughter has not contacted her in the past couple of days. Later on, her art teacher, Kate's art teacher, approaches her and tells her he's got big news for her, that they at the end of their classroom workshop, they're going to start an exhibit displaying other people's work, and she wants to have her art as a main subject theme for the exhibit, and she is blown over by this, and she rushes home to her roommate and tells her the big news. But at this point, Sarah knows that her identity is blown at this point, because she knows that she is using a false name and that she's lying to Eric, who I should mention, Eric knew about her grandfather and how he lost his own family's home and his own business because of his grandfather. And she's worried at this point that if she tells them about her being the granddaughter to the said lawyer, it will probably cause them to lose trust in her. Anyway, Sarah tells her, you must tell them the truth and stuff like that, even though it won't bottle well. So anyway, during law classes, the teacher approaches Sarah and asks her, why is Kate not attending any of the lectures? And if she does not attend lectures, she will be dropped out if necessary. He then asks her if Kate is hanging with the wrong crowd and taking stuff. She says that she's definitely hanging with a crowd, alright, and is taking stuff. Well, not really taking stuff. She's actually, I think when I think about art, that's a drug in itself when I think about it, because you're absorbed in that creative area in my mind. Anyway, he then tells Kate's mum about this, and this is where Kate's mum decides to go incognito to the art exhibit, thinking that her daughter is doing something illegal or something. So she follows Kate and Eric to the art exhibit, where she's mistaken for either a critic or an art dealer by another art, prodigy, and that bit was so funny. Anyway, soon enough, the art teacher approaches the podium and tells the group about Kate, and Kate is invited on the stage, and as Kate is about to speak, I should mention that Sarah is at the exhibit too, and she's trying to absolutely her heart to be supportive there, but for a mate. But unfortunately, she's trying to keep things on a good scale at the point. And anyway, soon enough, Kate's mother kind of jumps onto the podium and says, this girl is not who she says she is. She is a liar and stuff like that, and she's not an artist. I beg to differ, lady, but she is very talented. She's got some really good art pieces, I admit. But this woman kind of tells her her name, and Eric, of course, he is surprised and annoyed. So so Kate and her mother, they end up heading home. Her mother goes off her chops at her, saying all gosh knows bad stuff about her, saying that she's there to learn to be a lawyer, and a lawyer is what she is made to be, stuff like that. And then much later on, she's by a special place near a river, her father approaches her and says that he doesn't expect her to follow in his or her mother's footsteps. So he tells her to be the person she wants to be the artist that she wants to be. And then they both confront her mother about this and tell her that Kate wants to be an artist and wants to pursue that. Her mother says, how are you going to live a life of just being finger painting? And she says, I have 2 commissions, and that's going to mean money coming my way. So if you don't want to support me, you can be supportive, or you can disown me. And of course, this upsets the mother and says, your grandfather will be so annoyed at you. But she says, I don't care about that anymore. So she heads upstairs, and the father, he approaches her and tells her that he's leaving her father's law firm. He was sort of working for him, and so he's going to ask for a settlement, or get a settlement from the grandfather, and use that to start up his own law firm, where he hopes to help the people that he believes that would need his help. So he tells her this, and he tells her that she is no longer the woman he fell in love with, and thinks that thanks to her that he's no longer probably in love with her. So he heads off, and before he heads off, he tells her, you know that painting, the drawing you were admiring earlier, that you don't know who that was, who made that drawing? And this upsets her. I like to think maybe in the near future she may eventually get back with her husband. I can't really say at this point because way to the end we don't see her ever again, obviously. Anyway, Kate goes back to her friend Sarah and tell her that how sorry she was for her treatment of her, and tells her that she is leaving law school and pursuing her life as an artist. And she offers Sarah to stay, they could stay together as roommates. So Sarah can continue pursuing law while Kate pursues being an artist. And later on, she goes to Eric at his glass-blowing place and tells him how sorry she is. Of course, Eric is most annoyed by the fact she lied to him all this time, and offers him something as a bit of a sorry gift. So she gives him a painting that she made of them kissing. He tells her just another piece of trash, and so she leaves. And he then goes to the art teacher and he tells how he was upset about that Kate lied to him and that all this time. And the art teacher says he also understands, and he was also upset too. But when he met her mother, he thinks he understands to a level that what she was going through and why she did lie, obviously. So Eric, I think, at this point realizes that Kate is not completely in the wrong, that she was, well, anyway. So soon enough, Christmas arrives, it's Christmas obviously, and soon enough, as she's decorating the tree, she hears a knock at the door. She's with her father at a cabin, I think, and she notices at the doorstep a box, and inside the box is a glass blowing piece that she was looking at when she was at Eric's glass blowing place. It's beautiful, and then Eric appears and he tells her he loves her, whoever she was in the first place, and they kiss, embrace, and the movie ends. I love this movie so far, guys, and I think it's worth watching every time I watch it. I did have a few problems with it, like the fact that we see him. I just feel like it's weird that all I see of Amber's work is always on cardboard paper or card or just paper anyway, and it's not on it's never framed. It's never, I just feel like it doesn't seem like that part doesn't seem very realistic to me, because as an art person, I was always told to frame my work or put it on canvas or stuff like that, and it feels like in this movie that this person who made it didn't understand how to create art. I mean, create this sort of thing, and it seemed like the person didn't understand that you need to make it believable for the audience sometimes. But I guess I won't hold him against this sort of thing. But I did like all the art pieces Amber did create, especially the ones where she at the way to the end, where she creates them looking like some kind of artist's dream world. I like the fact how when they have a grungy look. I love grungy artwork and jewelry, and it's just something that says something about the artist, where it tells a story that you just have to try to figure out the story inside the painting, and which is what Kate was probably going through. Like, she was trying to tell the story to her audience through her paintings. She starts off as doing ordinary, starts off with ordinary landscape paintings, like with her father's boat as her bit of a example, and then she starts moving into grunge paintings, where it starts telling a deeper story to the subject. and it tells her about her struggles with her mother and how she tried to keep it a secret from her about her art work classes, and how she is having a difficult time to try to get that across to her that she's an artist. But her mother sees it as just an ordinary hobby and thinks that her daughter will go down the same path as her when she was a law student. And of course, it's, well, not the same path, but it's heading in that general direction where she isn't dropping out because she got pregnant, but more or less dropping out because she has a passion and a love for art. So anyway, I did love I love the chemistry between our two characters. I love with Eric and Kat, and think it's a nice way to end the movie at Christmas time. And I love Sarah the most because she's one of my favorite characters, where she's very encouraging and very loud and very wow. I think if I had her as a roommate, I would love her to death. Seriously. So anyway, I'll rate this now, and I'll rate it about 5 stars out of 5. That's my highest bid on this movie. So I hope you guys may check it out, and let me know in the comments what you guys think of this movie. So I'll see you guys very soon for my next movie review, and I hope you enjoy this movie. Alright, bye for now.